Okay, so here I have the almost completed fuel tanks. You can see here it's just a hardwood frame that I built where I put a couple 32 bolts in the back. Strapped it down with some Velcro. I still need to pick up some more fuel tubing to make my vent line. And remember, you want to loop this around the tank to go forward so that on down lines the vent line won't siphon your fuel out on the bottom of the plane while you're flying. Now I made these like this because every year or twice a year sometimes you have to replace the clunk line. It gets stiff. So I wanted something that was easy to remove. What I did is I glued a block here and labeled it, put some blind nuts on it so that my tank can easily slide into place and be bolted in. I still need to make the hold down for the front of it. Let me go around there. You can see I've started tightening up the wires in the side here, just putting zip ties on it, making sure everything's secure. And then I made a fuel log here, or distribution block I guess, so that all the tank lines are easy to hook up in one place, and I can put zip ties around all the ends of the fuel line. And these are my vent lines going down to the bottom of the plane where I've installed a couple of these vents. So the fuel system's almost done and the smoke system's almost done being plumbed. And I got my new headers in. These are 70mm drop headers from DA. They're KS or MTW, I guess they're the same. And it's perfect. And there's a good air gap there from the servo. So I wanted to just start putting the top wing on. And so I've started setting this up, getting ready for the shot. So let me set up the tripod, and I'm going to start explaining that. I'm going to leave the tanks out right now while I'm still working on cleaning up the wiring in the top deck here. And I'll show that in a later video once I got that cleaned up. Okay, so I've got everything set up so I can start putting the upper wing on. The important thing with a biplane is the wing incidence, and this is primarily for the model biplanes. Most of your model monowing planes are set up where the incidence is set from the factory, and you can't modify it anyway. But with the biplanes, you can shim it and set the upper wing incidence to make sure that all the cabanes were made right. It's going to be hard to set up and do all the little steps while I'm doing this, so I'm going to just give a brief explanation of what's going on, and then I'm going to do it, and I'll show you the results and point it out. What this kit is there's slots in the wing, and you have these wooden tabs. Well, I put the bolts and the hardware on here already, but I'm going to use 30-minute epoxy to glue these into the slots and then remove the cabane real quick and just leave the wood blocks in there to glue. Now when I put this in the wing, I'm going to take a marker and draw a line so that when I take the cabane off, I can make sure that the block didn't move from the position it needs to be at. The process for doing this is going to be to use a level on the side of the plane, take the canopy off, and raise the rear of the plane so that it's level, and then use an incidence meter to set the lower wing, make sure that that's 0, and then the upper wing at -1.5 degrees, which is what the instruction manual says for this plane. Now what that means is if these are my two wings of the biplane, this is 0, that it's flat and level, along with the thrust line of the propeller, and the elevator is at 0 degrees as well. This is the top wing, and if this is the front of the plane, this is negative and this is positive. So we want to set the top wing at negative 1.5 degrees incidence. I don't know all the aerodynamic reasons why that is, but I do know that it's important for a biplane to fly correctly. I wish I could tell you more information, but I haven't learned that yet. So let me concentrate on setting the incidence and getting the biplane all framed up, and then I'll come back and talk about doing the flying wires, where I've already got part of the hardware on the bolts. So I'll check back in a little bit. Okay, so I've got it set up here where it's propped up level. I'll do the old manual zoom here. You can see where the bubble's level, showing that the airframe is level, along with the elevator and straight through to the engine. And you can see the top wing here, I've got negative 1.5 degrees incidence, but there's a small gap down here. So I'm going to make a shim to put in there to support the wing before I glue that part in. Just figured I'd make that noteworthy. And then after I get both sides done, where there's 1.5 on the negative 1.5 on the incidence, then I'll come back and clamp and drill and make sure that there's no washout or wash in the wing by moving the gauge along the 3 points. I'll set this one here, I'll set the other one over there, and then I'll set it up in the middle when I drill the center holes. So I'll check back in after that's done and start going over flying wires. Okay, so while I'm letting the epoxy dry on the top wing, I went ahead and grabbed the cowl and started fitting it on the plane. And because the mufflers come out so close, I had to cut a section out, so I went ahead and made my air vent in the bottom of the plane. A lot of people just cut out the big circle, and that's what's shown in the manual, but I wanted to give a big arrow. Plus I'm going to have another vented section down further, so I think I'll be okay with leaving this still there. And if the engine starts getting too warm, then I can trim that out and I just won't have the arrowhead. So we'll see how that looks. I'm also going to make some baffles for the cowl as I'm fitting it to the engine. It's important to do that, to have the air come in over the fins. If you don't have the baffles, then the air comes in and scatters around the cylinder. The baffles act as an air duct to force the air over the cylinder head. I'll show you once I have it installed. You can see right now it's just a factory lip right here, and I'm going to make some ducts out of balsa wood to epoxy in there. Alright, I'll check back later. Okay, so I scratch built a couple of little baffles here out of some thin balsa, CA'd it, and painted them black. And you're probably thinking, why are they two different sizes? Well, the horizontally opposed twin-cylinder engines have a slight offset. So one of these will go to the cylinder that's further back, and this one will go up front. And you can see how it'll take the ducts here and direct airflow right over the cylinders from right inside the cowl. So what I'll do is epoxy these in place. And there you can Can you see the ducts in there? I'll get them epoxied in. And it'll look really good going up to the nice silver cylinders of the DA. So let me get this epoxied in and I'll be back. Well, so here it is. I've got the upper wing on there with the incidence being -1.5, and I've got the cowl on here with the ducts. I wish I could have the prop and the spinner on here just so everybody could see what it looked like. The spinner is at the post office. I gotta pick it up Monday morning, so I can't do that just yet. I'd love to, really. I'm looking forward to it. But I do have the prop, and I'm not going to do that until I have the spinner, because it'll look really good. I'm going to leave the flying wires alone for right now. I've just got the hardware in place, and I'm going to wait until I'm CGing the plane and have it together later on. I'm going to take the wings off and work on the wiring inside some more and get ready to video, plugging in some of the electronics and getting that ready to set all the control linkages and throws, and it'll be good. And then we'll do our final assembly, CG it, mount the batteries and the rudder servo, and we'll be on our way to the field. So we'll check back in a little bit. Bye! Alright, so I got the spinner in, and I ordered it pre-cut for a 3-blade propeller, so it fits right on there. And so I bolted on the prop and the spinner and got it all set up. Now we get to see it all in one piece. Ah, it looks beautiful. So the batteries are in, from what I hear, and I'll be picking those up a little bit later this week. So this weekend I should be able to CG it, and then all that's left is the flying wires, the rudder servo, install the batteries, and program everything. I'm getting excited! Alright, more to come in a bit.